make some different stuff happen when we click this. Let's throw a paragraph in here under the H1. Let's have a paragraph that says, welcome to my groovy app. And let's make the button change that. Why not? So we could just change heading here. Actually, I mean, the variable name we wouldn't have to change. We'll change the selector, though, so it grabs a paragraph. The first paragraph it comes to. Variable name's nothing magic. What if we just do that? Welcome to my groovy app. Click me, and it changes that to ye old person stats. Now it'd be nice if our variable were named something a little better, perhaps. All right, and we said a selector like this will just grab the first one it finds, the first match, because that selector matches every paragraph on the page. Let's add another paragraph. Please make yourself at home. What if we want to target that one specifically? What could we do? We could put an ID on that one, so we could add an attribute to it. ID equals something unique. Like, I don't know. How about instructions? Sure, why not? Make yourself at home. Those are the instructions. So an ID. So how do we get that one instead of the other one? Anybody know selector syntax for IDs? There is a whole nother function called getElementById instead of query selector. That works. If we are using query selector, anybody know the syntax? Hash. Hash instructions should do it. That will grab any element that has an ID of instructions. And only one element per page is allowed to have the same ID. It may try to handle that some way if you happen to do it, but it is illegal in HTML, so don't. We have classes for that instead of IDs. If we want to be specific and say a paragraph that has an ID of instructions, we could put both selectors there, the element selector and the ID selector. So that means specifically a paragraph with an ID of instructions. Or we could just do it this way. Either way, it'll grab the same thing.
Can you repeat what you just say? If you have P hashtag instructions, what will happen?
So without the P, it just finds, then the whole selector is just ID of instructions. So it'll grab any element. It doesn't matter if it's a paragraph or a div or a button or anything. Whatever has an ID of instructions, this will grab it. If we add P there, it would only match if that thing is a paragraph. So it would have to both be a paragraph and have that ID. So you can use whichever one you want. And hopefully, now our event handler, change heading, changes that one. Refresh the page. We have 2 paragraphs now. Click me. Yay, the second one changed and not the first. Life is grand. What if we wanted to pass an argument in there, pass a string, saying what we wanted to change it to? Instead of hard coding that inside change heading, what if we want to do it down here? Okay, so let's put an argument in here, new text, and we'll change it to whatever new text happens to be. But how do I pass it? Because I'm not invoking it here, right? I can't put parentheses here. or what I'll be passing to add event listener is the return value of change heading. I'll be running change heading right then. So there are a couple ways we could do this. Here's the simpler of the two ways, perhaps, that I'll show you right now. Now, we did say we could just write a function right in here like this. Oops, come on. We just write a function right there. And what if that function then calls change heading and passes in? So fancy. So now I'm saying when the click happens, do what? Do this function right here. Not change heading, but this function. And when that function runs, it calls change heading. So now we can pass in an argument if we want. Does it work? Refresh the page. Click me. So fancy. All right, very nice. Maybe fancier than we need to get right now. But what if I don't necessarily know the IDs and so on that are on the page? What if I just want to change the text of whatever I clicked on? So like changing the button text. Or if I click on a paragraph, changing the paragraph text.
You just use quotation mark.
That's not all. So we could do this. Let's grab this down here and add an event listener to that too. Paragraph dot add event listener. When we click that, we'll just call the exact same event handler. Which right now, the name isn't very accurate, is it? That's okay. This can be the event handler for more than one event. A click on this or a click on that. That's all right. So the event is a mouse click. And the mouse click is happening on some particular element on the page. You're clicking on something specific. There's got to be a way from inside an event handling function to tell what it is you clicked on. There just has to. Well, guess what? Yeah, never mind our argument here. We'll just start hard coding it again. Clickety click. It is secretly passing in an argument every time. That argument is an event object. JavaScript doesn't enforce the number of arguments a function takes. You can always pass too many or not enough, and JavaScript won't enforce that. Now, it may break if it tries to use that argument inside the function, but it will never give you an argument error for passing the wrong number in. So it's been passing this event in all along, and we just haven't been doing anything with it. So now let's do something with it. It passes in an event object. Let's have a look at what that looks like. I'm going to call it EV. And I want to have a look at it in my console. Who's used a breakpoint in some other language when debugging some other language? We can do that in JavaScript too. We'll just type debugger right here. And what'll happen is when execution reaches that line, it'll pause. So when I first refresh the page, it doesn't pause, right? It hasn't run that yet. It only runs this when we click on one of these two things. So let's click on one. Let's click on click me. Yeah, but not click quite that hard. All right, paused in debugger. Excellent. We can see all kinds of stuff. We can see our local variables. I just want to pop over to the console because now I should have this EV variable available. Let's see what that is. It's a mouse event. Cool. With a whole bunch of properties. What's this? Target. It's the button. So event.target would be the thing that you clicked in a click event handler. So I'll unpause execution here. And instead of saying p.textContent, I could say ev.target.textContent. And whatever that thing happens to be, whether it's the button or the paragraph, refresh the page, try clicking the button, and the button changed to clickety-click. Click on that paragraph. The paragraph changed to clickety-click. We could change this, well, we won't. It could be the H1, it could be whatever. So whatever it is that you clicked that triggered this thing to run, it'll get an event object representing that mouse click. And that event will have a target, which is the thing on which the event occurred. If it's a click, the thing you clicked. If it's a form submission, the form. If it's a mouse over event, the thing you moved the mouse over, etc. Cool, so now it's a little more dynamic.